Signs of the Southland, Sunday, August 21st, 2022. Before we get into the meat of our subject today, Mr. Purdy, would you knock out a couple of news items for us, shall we?
Indeed, indeed. We have volleyball did more things. They had another tune-up in South Carolina today, where they won 4-1, which is not a score that is legal in normal volleyball. But for exhibition purposes, they just played 5 sets, regardless of score. They won the first three, so if it was a real match, they would have won in straight sets. Um, so they were quite they nailed them quite good. I'm looking at the article now that they put up, and they outscored them by the Gamecocks by 19 points in the first 3 sets. Where I imagine I don't think this wasn't televised in any way, so I wasn't able to watch. But my guess is this was going to be the day where they did a little bit more work on who was the main rotation, and getting through the brunt of the match, the first part of the match, and then experiment at the tail end. Um, and they won that fifth set 15-10. So good, a good showing, I would say an expected showing as well, because South Carolina is not top of the volleyball world in any way.
Yeah, just to give our listeners a little bit of color, South Carolina did make the tournament last year. They were actually in our regional, but fell to Western Kentucky. So
Oh, I forgot about that. Right.
interestingly, the last time they had played competition before this was in our own gym, but not
Right.
against us. So it's
Yeah, I
kind of weird,
remember.
right?
I remember how we slotted. I forgot who we slotted first, but that then they lost. So I was like, oh, we lost
Citadel.
the Citadel. That's right, Citadel. Yeah, and so we lost the Power Five on Power Five matchup. I was like, oh, this is cool, and then they lost. So I was like, okay, whatever.
Well, see, Western Kentucky got very slept on last year, so kind of got a bad draw to get sent to
Definitely.
our gym, but definitely was one of the best group of fives. But I suppose that's no big relevance to here. I will say, looking at the pictures that they were posting online from the Carolina Volleyball Center, the vibe is very similar to their pool across the street. Big rec center vibes. You know, like a I guess a community center type. You know, that warehousey ceiling type thing. So definitely an interesting venue, but I sup I suppose we'll never be back there, at least not anytime soon.
Interesting. I thought this one was on TV. I think it was being streamed online, and it
Was
was
it?
it was, open attendance, free attendance at Carolina Volleyball Center. So hopefully they had a pretty good crowd. I didn't actually see the pictures. So I mean, it looked like a good game, like you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. And
Yeah.
then and then football stuff's coming eventually. We'll talk more about it next week, once we are much closer than we are now. Cross country is our main thing today, which also happens around the same time. But training camp's happening and all the good stuff that goes along with that. If you are a student, you can still buy, or if you have someone that knows who's a student, you can still buy your student season tickets and get a section you want. As I had a friend do this morning when I was with them, because they forgot to buy their Clemson ticket, so they just got all the tickets right there and then.
I will say, speaking of tickets, to clarify a point we made last week, it looks like season tickets are only 65. I must have inflated that by $5 in my head. And they've also posted McCamish Pavilion tickets. An adult's going to be $10. Youth and senior five. Groups of 10 or more are five apiece, which is a little bit more than your usual single games at O'Keefe, which is like $7, $8. So a little bit
I
more
thought
to
it
get
was
into
five.
McCamish, but that's the best game on the schedule. So definitely not it's worth the extra $2 or $3, whatever that is.
They're not ripping you off.
No, they're
Absolutely
certainly
not.
not.
I think their goal for that game is to fill up the lower bowl, and then if they get enough attendance to open up the upper, then they'll do it. But lower bowl for I mean, that's twice the capacity of O'Keefe right
Oh,
there.
more, yeah, at
I
least
mean
double.
O'Keefe is what, 12? Oh wow, O'Keefe is 1,200, so that might be
We're
two.
talking. The lower bowl can get 4 to 5, right? So we're
Yeah,
gonna
three
get
point something. Math is hard.
So
Math
I will
is
say That is pretty similar to the NIT dilemma against Indiana from a couple of years back. But filling the lower bowl should be, it's within the realm of doable. But I think if you look back in the media guide, the number one attendance ever for Tech is an 09 game against UGA at home. And I believe the quote on that is 2,500 people. How they fit 2,500 people into the O'Keefe gym, I have no idea how that's legal, but per people that were there, they were lining them up like multiple people deep along the baseline. So I don't think we'll ever see anything close to that again. So if you want to see a crowd of more than 1,200, you've really got this, and that'll be kind of your opportunity to do that, I suppose.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on. Before we get to cross country again, Jake, do you want to give us a quick update about a championship experience that you saw in Atlanta this weekend?
Yeah, so yesterday I was out and about in Atlanta, as I tend to be, and my buddy goes, Jake, I have another ticket to the Big Three championship game. Do you want to go? And I was like, no, not really. And then I was like, well, I guess I'm not really doing anything else. So it actually wound up being a 3-game slate. The opening game was the celebrity Big Three game, I suppose, which Clyde Drexler and his celebrities faced off against Ice Cube himself and his celebrities, led by Rob Gronkowski. So that was very interesting to watch Gronk playing 3-on-3 basketball with a bunch of other musicians. I think the former Bachelor was out there. I don't watch The Bachelor, so somebody else who does might be a better source there. So very interesting. And then there was the All-Star game, a couple former NBA names on there. I think it was more interesting. And I know Dr. J does coach in the Big Three and all that, but definitely was interesting to see him out there. And then the championship game at 5 p.m., which is also why I'm late to our recording today. Fun fact for those who want to follow along with the timeline drama of the three hosts. But the championship game saw a team called Trilogy, formerly led by Jarrett Jack, squaring off against Power, which was led by Glenn Rice Jr., famously playing 3 seasons at Tech before being dismissed. So a lot of Tech connections running through there. It was a very, I'd say, surprisingly full crowd. They didn't sell all of State Farm Center because there was like some screens, so they had blocked off like 1/2, or I guess 1/3 of the lower bowl.
They did the whole Atlanta United capacity trick.
It was like if you could take different chunks out of different sides of the bowl. So like the half that had the screens had the upper deck open, but the half with the like wall of suites did not have that upper deck open. It was an interesting layout. Most of the concession stands weren't open, but the ones that were, honestly, pretty good food. For what we paid, not bad. They have those steel or the aluminum soda cups now, and they do the fan-friendly pricing. So that was interesting. But Trilogy, formerly of Jarrett Jack, went on to win their 3rd title. I guess that puts the Trilogy in their name. But the coach came on afterwards and gave an interesting little rant in which he was self-declaring himself to be coach of the year because his opponent, who had just defeated, had been named coach of the year. So that was very interesting. And then, it was just something that would not have flown by the NBA's, I guess, I don't know. Somebody would have gotten fined, and I appreciate that he was able to, make it fun and poke some fun at the other teams and Ice Cube and whatnot. And then he said, shout out to CBS. So, really thanking the TV partners there. But
he knows
it was an interesting
he knows how
time.
they get paid. He knows how they get paid.
Yeah. But I don't know. Just I've been to a lot of sporting events in my day, and never did I think I would see professional 3-on-3 basketball live and in person, I think is a good way to put it. So
it's an Olympic sport, Jake. You got to get used to it.
Didn't we not make it in 3-on-3 basketball to the Olympics?
Well, the men didn't. The women won the gold medal. So
yeah, women won gold, which included current New York Liberty center Stephanie Dotson.
Dolson.
Mm.
That's right.
Interesting.
That's, certainly something.
Absolutely. So I have no transition into this. So we're just going to move right into it. We're going to talk about cross country. We're going to get in the meat of the episode today. Jake Grant, I am going to ask you a very dumb question, but I need you to play along because every podcast is someone's first. What is cross country? I understand that this is a very big question, but I need you to play along with the bit.
In the
That
NCAA context.
In the NCAA,
okay.
yes, good point. Good point.
Well, they run and they run for a really long time, comma, on the men's side, the race distance, especially at the NCAA level, obviously, sometimes there are different races that change it up a little bit, but race distance at the NCAA competition is 10,000 meters, a 10K, 6.2 miles, all that good stuff. The women's is a little bit shorter. I believe it's 6,000 meters at NCAA's. I always kind of forget about that, but I feel like I've seen 8,000 meter races before, but maybe that's just in a one-off kind of context, but it is 6K at NCAA's last I was aware, and I don't recall them making any rules changes. So yes, that's the gist. They run, and it's different by men or women, but it's just one event, right? They do it, they run it, and that's the competition. Pretty straightforward.
So usually a mix of teams, everyone's timed individually. It's a running sport, yada yada yada. But
Yes.
typically, when we talk about these about cross country, we see like a wide variety of courses that they run on. Some are like through woods, some are just flat, or not flat ground, but at least like fields. Can you talk a little bit about that? Just sort of the environments that they run in.
Yeah, they're all pretty different. For tech, it is, other than golf, probably the one notable absence from something I guess we have a true home course at. You'll never really see tech having a home race, if you will. It requires a lot of land, obviously, 10,000 meters of perimeter, I guess you'd put it. But hey, I mean, back in the day, they would just run them up to the waterworks and back down Hemp Hill Street. But that's not really something I guess you can pull off in this modern day and age. And also that is on asphalt and hard pack now, which a lot of times, they're running through grass and dirt and gravel, that kind of more, I guess, natural vibe to it. At least, commonly you'll see there. But yeah, no, courses are very disparate, I think is a fair way to put it. Not like in a bad way or anything like that. It's not like it's non-standard. It can be somewhat of a home field advantage, but when you have as few racing opportunities as you do, I think that's one reason, and not to spoil the bag here, but I think that's part of the appeal of maybe the North Alabama Invitational going to Huntsville in advance of, NCAA South regions, and being able to say, hey, we know this course. You'll see Tech has run like a doubled up in Tallahassee a couple times in the past. Things like that, I think is, usually something that they're trying to do to get familiar with that race. Because at the end of the day, you're really preparing for that one really big race, because NC South regions is going to decide which teams and then individuals, kind of like golf in that sense, get to go. But that it's really mainly a team competition. So you kind of have to have that top to bottom turnout.
Okay, speaking of that top to bottom turnout, we know what that top looked like for Georgia Tech last year. It was Nicole Fegans, and she just raked in the awards. Jack, I am putting you a little bit on the spot, but let's roll through some of the stuff that Nicole Fegans did during her Tech tenure.
Effectively, she just broke. Anytime she ran, she broke a Tech record, and then when she ran the race again, she just broke whatever record she had already set. By the time she qualified, I know we not long after I joined the podcast was when she was racing at nationals in Oregon, at least for the track part of the season. And I think her time was not as fast as her best at that time. And this was not her dominant side either. She was better on the track side, but generally she was our top go track runner. We were racing. This kind of skips a beat, but just to point out her significance, she won the Penn State race that the team is still going to race at this year, and she won by 9 seconds in 2021. So like we're losing to someone who could very clearly beat number one in the field at any given race in a cross country setting.
Yeah.
which we don't have. Also, I'm looking at the roster now. I don't think they updated it on the website yet because she's still listed on the website, which I know is not right because
Yeah.
she is not a senior anymore.
That was going to be my immediate follow up there, which makes it a little bit tough, right? Because you can talk about Fegans, but really that whole junior senior class was pretty stacked in terms of, you had Fegans, but you had Mary Catherine Knott, Liz Galarza, and I do know that Liz Galarza is back for another year, so I presume that's a fifth year type situation because I was pretty sure that she was a senior.
Yeah, we still got some fifth years.
Yeah, like a senior type situation, but if any of these names are going to be familiar, obviously Fegans is departing, Galarza is back, but Mary Catherine Knott was a big part of the teams that went to NCAAs, and then there was also Claire Moritz was a name that you'd probably see a lot there. Other than that, in terms of notable finishers or people that had good, I guess, track seasons, Riley Perlikowski had some great racing in the spring. Not somebody we really saw a lot of last year. And then obviously the name bit carries on in Erin Fegan's a younger sibling.
Don't be fooled if you look at the scoreboard and see Fegans. It's not Nicole. It's the sister.
Yeah. But in terms of updated roster, I haven't seen anything, at least, and really all we can go off of without an updated roster is that they've told us that Liz Galarza is coming back, who's been a big performer on that team, and also James Cragen. Talking about the men, he was probably their best runner last year, and we also can say that I'm pretty sure it's James and Liz on their schedule poster too. So that's really all we've got on this team, and they're running in a week and 3 days. So kind of your guess is as good as ours at this point.
I mean, I hope they'll put up an updated roster by September 1st. It would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be very nice. That would make our jobs a little bit easier. But like we said, we know Cragen is going to be back. We know that Liz Galarza is back as well, and those are going to be those are going to be the big names to watch. I would probably say too going into next year. Even if we did know anyone else, I think that's where I would settle in terms of the highlights from the roster as well.
Absolutely. So we've gone over your basics, key departures, and then some names to know. Let's talk about their schedule. We talked about it at a very high level a couple of weeks ago when it was originally released. But Mr. Purdy, I hear you have a game for us to play as we pick apart and preview this schedule.
Yes, as to not make this a dry, this team is running here on this day and then call it a day. We will make sure I have a famous person from somewhere from either any of these schools or the city that they're running in, if it's a neutral site, minus a couple of them. And I will, and y'all can play along as you're listening. I will name the context of this person and then give you 20 seconds to figure it out or try. And then I'll just say it so we don't stay here for 8 hours trying to figure out who these very specific people are. Because these are like Barry and North Alabama and other schools like that that are not exactly huge until we get to Penn State. Then it's open season. That's about it.
Okay, let's get started. September 1st, the Barry Open hosted by Barry College.
One of you in the past, I can't remember if it was Jack or Akshay, has noted that it's kind of odd that we're running at Barry at all. It's a D3 school. And I will point us back to the fact that Barry, being outside of Rome, not only has a very large campus, but a very relatively good set of athletic facilities. And I think the thing that most of us would probably have that click together for is by mentioning the Rome Tennis Center at Barry College. That's been the site of many an ACC championship for tennis. So if you're kind of like, why are we going to Barry? Well, hard to find a cross-country course in the middle of Atlanta, but also Barry's got some decent athletic facilities too. Like I said, mainly that tennis one coming to mind. So I know I was a little bit like, huh? And then I was like, oh yeah, it's Barry. They've got some, at least decent programming space up there.
So nice for running their place.
Mr. Purdy, your first hint.
This is a current Atlanta Brave. So you only got about 25 people you could pick from. They did play in the last 2 days.
Oh, okay. So that limits it to literally 18.
From Barry or from Rome?
Played at Barry. Played at Barry. This is an actual
Wow.
Barry. Yes. And as far
Huh.
as I know, is the only major leaguer to ever make it from Barry.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Colin
Hold on,
McHugh.
hold on. Oh, I was going to ask if it's a
Ooh,
pitcher or a fielder,
give us
but
some more drama. Give us some more time. Let's ask some
Okay, okay.
questions. All right, that was Colin McHugh, current Braves reliever. Next one, North Alabama Invitational, September 16th. I'll also note that we don't have a list of opponents for a lot of these yet. We will mention those where we do. But yes, North Alabama. This one is in Huntsville, I think you said.
Yes, North Alabama is in Huntsville. Former Giants quarterback that I do believe played in one of their Super Bowls against the Patriots that has an alliterative initials.
Eli Manning.
No.
Um, played in one of their Super Bowls versus the Patriots, but didn't play, but well, played quarterback, you said.
Corner.
Oh,
Corner. Yeah.
cornerback.
Dang. See that? Okay, that makes
Um,
more sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I might be wrong about that part, but I know he was a Giant at one point.
um, I got nothing. I was gonna say Eli Apple, which who I think is with the Giants now, but I'm not entirely sure.
No, it's not. Okay, I don't think he was with the Giants at the time. It is Janoris Jenkins, who was
Oh,
second team All Pro in 2016 and a Pro Bowler that year, and was fourth in Defensive Rookie of the Year voting in 2012 with the Rams.
okay.
Yeah, no, a lot of these are going to be kind of tough just because it's very tiny places, as this next one is with Lehigh.
Lehigh Paul Short Run, September 30th. Your notable opponents: Duke, Indiana, UNC, Texas A&M, and Virginia. Mr. Purdy, your hint.
A current New Orleans Pelicans starter.
Not Jose Alvarado.
No, not a starter either.
Zion? No.
No,
Well,
Duke, dude. You went to Duke.
you you said hometown.
This is the school. We're going about
Zion's
the
like famously from South Carolina, so
this
not Bethlehem,
this is
Pennsylvania.
hosted by this is hosted by Lehigh, so I'm going by graduates of Lehigh.
Okay.
Ah,
But yeah,
Lehigh famous alumni Twitter
Please
freak.
don't
don't
do
tell
it.
me
I
you're Google.
Lee Iacocca.
That was one of the other ones. I've read his biography actually. It's very good. I
this is
recommend
a
it.
current starter on the Pelican. A current like would be starting today if they had a game.
Um,
This is former Portland Trailblazer, target of many trade rumors. CJ McCollum.
oh, dang it.
Uh,
I knew that.
Yeah,
did
Dang
you?
it.
Did you really?
Yes, I as soon as he said it. As a mid-major basketball fan. Yes.
Unbelievable. This is already off the
Dang it.
rails.
the other
This
notables, though, that I almost did was Stephanie Rule, who, if you watch network television, hosts the 11th Hour on NBC,
Wait.
or
Wait.
Roger Penske.
let's move on to the Alexander A6 Invitational. This is in Fairburn, Georgia on October 1st. So I believe this is a split squad situation
Yes.
between Lehigh and Alexander Invitational. Mr. Purdy, what's your hint?
This person was partners with Iggy Azalea for 3 years.
I couldn't tell you the first thing about
Two
Iggy Azalea,
Chains?
so
Playboy Cardi.
Damn.
oh, Mr. Chains was at the State Farm Center today.
Of
Two
course he
Chains
was.
and
Of course
B.O.B.
he
performed
was.
live. I'm telling you, this was an event, man. Everyone who was anyone was at the
Yeah.
big three, at the big three thing. That
This
makes
is a
sense.
great game because neither of us know any of these things, and we're learning with you. Actually, we're learning something. We're investing some time.
Oh,
We're growing together.
Akshay, I know something about learning together and investing time, but also investing money that we can learn together about now as our intermission.
Why don't you finish that segue, Mr. Grant?
Yes. So, yes, learning, investing money in very soft and quality tech apparel can be done. And that is very possible with Section 103. Section 103 is Georgia Tech's, I guess, premier question mark. I only provider of very soft licensed ATL merchandise. I don't think I've seen it anywhere else. So if you like, that logo, it is the place to get that. It's on quite a lot of navy gold, and I believe they might have do they have a gray or a white? But either way, I know it's on a lot of navy and a lot of the gold, but also Georgia Tech's wordmark, which is exceptional and can be found again on a lot of gold, navy, white hoodies, shirts, long sleeves. Crew neck. I think there's a crew neck, right? I'm frantically
very well
scrolling
prepared,
to verify.
Mr.
Yes,
Grant.
there's a crew neck. It's gray. I found it. I knew it was on there. But
Excellent podcasting.
All very high quality. And I can definitely say that my shopping cart is still full. But September 1st gets closer every day. Do you guys have anything else to say before we plug their socials?
Where can you find Section 103 on the internet, Mr. Grant?
That is section103.com. Steven's a great partner. He makes great stuff, and we love working with them and also spending our cold, hard cash on his delightful merchandise. Great place to get tech apparel. And you can also follow them at Section 103 on Twitter. Vote in polls for new shirts, and also engage with the brand. Tell them what you want to see, what you like, and it's the place to be buying. So might as well start there.
Speaking of places to be doing things, running specifically on October 14th, a bunch of schools in the Northeast and Georgia Tech will be at the Penn State National Open. Your notable opponents, Penn State, of course, Michigan, Northwestern, Rutgers, Syracuse, and then a bunch of the Ivy League. So, Mr. Purdy, please tell me you have at least one of these that you have a hint for that we can get.
There's somebody to pick from. I'll let you all pick this one. Would you rather the U.S. Senator, the actor, or the women's soccer star?
Women's soccer star.
Okay.
Not the women's soccer star.
Okay.
I don't know anything about them. Gosh, that didn't go over
Split the
very
difference,
well.
Damn it.
I meant that just to troll Akshay, but my goodness.
The women's soccer player, I believe, did start games at the most recent World Cup. And then the actor was most famous for Modern Family.
Is it Ty Burrow? The dad, Phil Dunphy.
That is correct. That is correct. It is indeed
yes, we got one.
Yes.
We got one. I have forgotten the women's soccer player who went to Penn State, and it's on the tip of my tongue. It's not.
Allie Krieger.
Allie Krieger. That makes sense. She, currently of the Orlando Pride. I don't know. She's been traded recently. I don't remember. But nevertheless, we are 1-6 at this point.
There's only one more I have left, so that's all we're getting, probably.
I feel like me getting Ludacris should count for Fairburn, but
no, you get nothing, you lose, and you specifically lose, unfortunately. That sucks.
Dang.
Moving forward, Barry Invitational on October 15th. We mentioned that earlier. The ACC Championships will be in Earlysville, Virginia. That will be hosted by Virginia, I believe. That is October 28th. I don't believe you have a hint here, Jack, because you don't have one listed. So we're going to roll right through the NCAA.
Earlysville is very, very small. There's a couple of people, but no one that I even knew. So that's not worth it.
The NCAA
isn't that sort of close to Charlottesville at least? I mean, I guess they're still different places, but
it's still a different place. But yeah, it's pretty close to Charlottesville.
We went over the Barry Invitational. We went over the ACC Championships. NCAA South Regional is also in Huntsville. Lots of stuff in Huntsville this year. That will be on November 11th. And then the NCAA Championships, official, will be in Stillwater, Oklahoma on November 19th, just a week after the regional. Mr. Purdy, this is your final hint. Make it a good one.
This is the only person that I could find that was relevant enough for a sports podcast. He played for the Rockies, he played for the Cardinals, and won a World Series or two, I don't remember how many, with the Cardinals.
Ugh.
Also, you could have picked the literal head coach of this football program.
Oh, is he from there?
Yes, he's from there. Well, I don't know if he's from there, but he went to college there, so that counts.
Oh, I didn't count Oklahoma State. I should have done that. Oh
I
well.
was going to say Robin
The player.
Ventura, great option for retired
Oh,
MLB
you're right.
players from
Yeah, you're right.
Oklahoma State.
The player I'm thinking of is Matt Holliday.
Oh,
Yeah, that the Rockies
boo.
thing makes sense then.
Yeah,
Boo.
yeah.
Matt Holliday stinks. Although his son got drafted this year, if
His
you want to feel
kid got
old.
drafted first, so yeah, he's relevant, right?
Ugh.
The Holidays are relevant right now.
Oof. That
Woof.
yeah,
That
I would say
was,
that makes me feel old indeed.
folks, I think that was the roughest podcast game that we've ever done.
We followed through. We did all of it. We did everything we said we were going to do with it.
Let's talk about this team. Let's get back. Let's put this train back on the tracks. As we've diverged far from them at this point. Let's talk about this team one last time. Jake, you are our foremost expert on the cross country program. What would you give us a vibe check, right? What is the state of this program and what do you expect them to do this year?
Yeah, so I think last year was, I think you could safely say, a little bit of a letdown year for both programs. Again, Georgia Tech women have recently gotten second in their conference finish behind NC State, who's very, very good. So no shame there. But again, came runner up, but last year fell down the, I guess, pecking order a decent amount. Again, it's something that just happens, and with the ebb and flow of time and results and things like that. They did finish ninth at regions and eighth at ACCs. Both of those, again, a little bit lower than expected. Men finished 12th. Again, just a little bit lower than expected, and 13th at the South region. It was a tough season at the big meets, even though they did pretty reasonably. Like, women finished second at Penn State National Open last year, which is a really great meet. A lot of second and third place finishes in other, in other competition, including wins at Kennesaw State on both sides. So definitely a little bit of a down year last year. I think it's a little bit tough to divine this coming year. As we noted, the roster does not appear to have been updated yet. I will see if I can click at least into 22, 23. And yeah, it's given me still a blank page. It doesn't even default to that. So without knowing, the status of a couple of last year's seniors, I would say it was a little bit tough, but I think certainly for the women's program, the ceiling has and should be considered higher than eighth in the ACC. I think this is a program that, has not necessarily competed with NC State at the top of the top, but that second through like eighth, ninth is kind of a wild west when it comes to just finishes. So if you can, just get a little bit of difference in terms of results, that can make the difference again between a second and a eighth, ninth, 10th type finish. And this team is capable. I would say of a little bit more than that. Again, it's something that's a little bit tough to know without knowing who's coming back, though.
So maybe we'll get an updated roster one of these days, and we'll keep everyone posted. We'll have some more names eventually. We will.
Perhaps we're jumping the gun with our previews here, but in terms of getting everything out and previewed before season started, like football, volleyball, and cross country all needed to get done, and they're all starting within, a week and change of each other. So if you're out there and you have more info on cross country and want to reach out to us, our DMs are open, and we're always happy to talk about it, because it's, one of tech sports, and definitely something that, at least I think, has some interesting storylines, just being the bounce back after Fegan's graduating, and also from a, kind of disappointing finish at ACCs and regions last year. I'd say that this is a team that does have some intrigue in terms of how they can, take that next step back up, especially for the women's team, which has been very good very recently. They had one of their best years ever just 2 years ago. So, they're not too far off of that.
Absolutely. Mr. Grant, Mr. Purdy, I think that about wraps it up for us in our cross country preview. Bit of a short one today, other than the whole game falling off the rails at one point. Do you have anything else that you'd like to discuss, Mr. Grant?
Yeah, I think just to put it out there, we are going to be talking football next week. If you have not claimed your free ticket for ATL Day versus Western Carolina, that is something that you can do. It's out there. It's an option, or just, buy a season ticket or something like that. But, it's something worth mentioning in terms of other, I guess, things to look at in the coming months, the coming weeks. Obviously, like I said, we are going to be previewing football next week, but in terms of the Tech calendar itself, on Friday, a Georgia Tech team will play meaningful non-exhibition competition as Tech heads to Oxford to take on Ole Miss Friday,
In
5 p.m.
volleyball. You forgot to say the sport. In
Oh,
volleyball.
yeah, in volleyball. I thought that was implied, but TV is TBD on that. I'm sure it'll be on SEC Network Plus or at least something. And then Saturday, they'll catch Illinois at 4 p.m. So two Power Five teams, and Illinois is a regular top 25 tournament Big Ten type mid table team, and a Big Ten mid table team is a darn good team. So should make for some interesting opening weekend competition. We'll be learning about this team right away.
Absolutely. Mr. Purdy, anything else to add before we log off?
Oh, I think we wrapped it up. Thank you for playing my game, even though it did go off the rails. We nailed everyone I wanted to mention. So
Yeah.
I feel indulged.
Claps for everyone.
Oh, I've got one more thing, guys. I'd be remiss not to mention it, but men's golf has quietly released at least the outline of a fall schedule, and they'll be back in action in Scottsdale Friday, September 9th, that weekend, and then again at the end of September in Inverness at Inverness Club in Toledo, Ohio. They're not going to Scotland, darn. And then a couple tournaments in October, including one at the Golf Club of Georgia up in Alpharetta, which is their usual home course. So golf will be back in action with 4 fall tournaments as well. So didn't want to forget that. But we'll keep an eye out for other fall competitions, softball, baseball, and tennis being the ones to look out for there.
Scottsdale, also known as Noonan Golf Course West.
Fair enough.
I think that about wraps it up for us today. Mr. Grant, please take us home.
Yes, you can find us on Twitter at FTRS blog. We're very responsive. Ask us your questions. Give us your comments and your feedback. We want to hear from you. And we also post all of our other content there, articles from the rest of the staff. We do have personal Twitters as well. You can find me at JakeGrant98, Jack at Jack Nicholas. Akshay, if you find him, I don't know, you get a prize. He doesn't want to be found. So good luck with that. And then you've got emails at fromtherumbleseat@gmail.com. Let us know your feedback there as well. Website fromtherumbleseat.com. We've got comments. You can check out all of our other content there as well. And you can catch this podcast wherever fine podcasts are sold. Again, please tell your friends. Let us know your thoughts. And, we take that into consideration when planning out future content. So definitely something we take to heart. As always, for Jack and Akshay, I am Jake Grant. Thank you, good night, and go Jets.